Hi YouTube. I wanted to do a quick video on the BlueSCSI in a Power Mac 7300-200. Now, I've been using this really successfully in my LC475 and it's performed really well. And when I bought it, I had plans on putting it inside the Power Mac. So I tried it. I created a disk image in Basilisk, I copied it over, and I did everything right for the first time, which makes a change. And I booted up the machine, but it was really slow. And I was a bit disappointed. Now I know the BlueSCSI wasn't designed for these machines, they were designed for the 68K machines and they've been tested. But I just thought on the off chance I'd give it a quick try. Now, I have been paying attention to what's been going on the BlueSCSI scene, and there's a couple of people that have, especially on Twitter, made some recent comments about how you can improve the performance of these. And what it turns out is there's nothing wrong with this device at all. It's the SCSI bus on the Power Mac. It's not providing enough power. So I went on eBay and I bought one of these. So it's a molex to floppy disk power adapter, and on the BlueSCSI there's a little header here we can just plug that directly into, and we can then provide power to the BlueSCSI, and that's supposed to improve performance. There's also another little trick that I've seen that somebody has said that if you format the disk image that's used on the SD card with disk tools that's provided with macOS 8 or above, then you get a couple of 100k faster disk transfer speeds. Now my version of macOS 8, when I boot it up, it can see the disk, but it refuses point blank to have anything to do with it. And I've also had some problems using the patched version of Apple's HDS or SDHD, whatever it is, the patched disk initialization utility. It seems to take forever to format the disk images. Now, so I think Steve from Mac84 just recently has said that you can use other utilities and it'll be a bit quicker. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to boot I'm going to take the top case off, and I'm going to take out the 2 gig hard drive that's in it. Well, I'm going to disconnect the SCSI cable, and I'm going to disconnect the power cable, and hopefully I'll be able to plug it in. It's extremely tight fitting here. You have to excuse my my sunburn and my little scar, my sunglasses marks. I've just come back from holiday and the weather for a couple of days was actually really nice. Went up to Scotland. Oh, there we go. So, what we're going to do is get the BlueSCSI, pop that into there. Now this is a blank 4 gig disk image. Let's go around that way actually. I've just created this disk image with DD on macOS 10, so I'm not entirely sure whether or not it will be the correct format. Whoops, that's not very helpful, Richard. Bent the pins already. Let's try that again. Alright, let's try another one. I seem to have bent the pins already, which isn't fantastic. Alright. Maybe a very short YouTube video. Richard tries plugging in a molex. Goodness me, that's tight. It might be that this was just a $2.99 eBay special and it's some Chinese tat. There we go. I take it back, it's not Chinese tat, it's user error as normal. Okay, so that's going to float around a little bit. So, power the machine on, I'm going to boot from CD. Already it's a lot quieter because there's no spinning splatter drive. And we've got power. Yeah, we've got a little LED on the BlueSCSI. I'm not sure if you can make that out on camera. Well, that's not good, is it? Have I disconnected the cable? No, that's in. Let's check. Yep, that's all right. SCSI cable is in. Power is in. Not getting a bong. Let's just try disconnecting this for a sec. Perhaps I put it in the wrong part of the cable or something. Okay, so we know that that's... Let's try another part of the cable. Nope, doesn't like that. So termination is on. There's nothing really much else to look at. What else have we got? It was that one in the hard drive. Let's just try it without power and see what happens. Because I know it has worked before. Yeah, no chime. I don't like SCSI very much. So there's a reset button on the top and a couple of jumpers. I wonder if I have to do anything with the jumpers. Although saying that, do I have to power the board or do I have to power the... This is probably a terrible idea. 3.3 volts. I think that's 5 volts. Yeah, I'm not going to plug that in there. I'm going to Google. Back presently. Right. I'm not very happy. Or the machine isn't very happy. So I just had to disconnect the power because it wouldn't chime when I turned it on. And also, brittle plastic strikes again. This is for the power switches. So one of them already broke off, which means the little button that presses the power button on the logic board, system board, what you want to call it, it wobbles, which is slightly irritating. And you can probably get 3D printed replacements or something to hold it in place, but that's just really annoyed me. So I've no idea. I've disconnected the power, plugged it back in again, turned it on, it chimed, so I turned it off. I swapped the hard drive with the SCSI, the BlueSCSI, turned it back on again, it's chimed, I got a screen, and it's booted off CD. So let's see if we can set the drive up. Not initialized, unless you can see it. So this is a 4 GB disk image, so it may take a little while to initialize. Oh no, there we go. Let's quit there. Let's call it Macintosh HD. Let's try and do an install of macOS 9.1. So that's the last version of macOS 9 that will work with this machine. So, perform a clean install, there's nothing on it anyway, select, continue, agree, customize, I don't want personal web sharing, Java, colour sync, English speech recognition, remote access, we'll leave internet access on, and we will update the hard drive drivers. So the problem I was having before was I created a disk image of macOS 9. It was only macOS 9 because Sheepshaver doesn't support anything higher. But the boot process took about 15 minutes or so, and then opening things like Photoshop or any application was just dog slow. And like I said before, I know that the BlueSCSI isn't exactly designed for Power Macintosh machines, but I thought I'd give it a go. And what with reading all the info that's been coming out lately on Twitter, I was quite keen on giving it a try, especially now that I've got this power connected, and fingers crossed the performance is a lot better. So this is going to take about 16 minutes. So once it's finished, I'll be back. Right, well, we've got less than a minute remaining. The sun's gone in, so it's a bit darker in here. And hopefully it'll finish and we'll do a restart and we'll boot off the BlueSCSI and we'll see what the performance is like. Fingers crossed. There we go. So let's do a shutdown. Well, that's a good sign. Happy Mac, macOS 9.1. Fingers crossed. So there are LEDs on the BlueSCSI itself. The top one just shows you power, and then the bottom one that's flashing away furiously is the activity. And I can already tell that this is a lot quicker. But we're just going to let it fully boot because the throughput's only about 2 megabytes a second. Well, I think it was about 1.5 megabytes a second, so it's not tremendously fast. Loading the extensions. There we go. Okay, wait to get to the desktop. And we'll go through the setup utility. And we'll do some customization as well, like set my favourite wallpaper. Oh, it's gone very dark in here. Let me try and do something with the camera. I had the exposure locked. Whoops. So let's quickly just launch. Let's launch Internet Explorer, because that's probably about the heaviest application that we've got on here. Now this will fail to connect to anything because there's no internet or there's no network connectivity. And this is literally a base install, there's no other software. So yeah, not terrible performance. We'll do, that'll do for me. I have Office 97, 98 even. Here we go. Alright, I'm going to copy Office 98 over and we'll see what kind of speeds we get. So this is copying 72.6 megabytes over from the CD to the disk image on the BlueSCSI. While it's doing that, I'm going to get my box copy of SimCity, because why not? Okay, we're at about 2 minutes remaining and it's at about 25 megs so far. So SimCity, this is on floppy, so this install isn't going to be quick. Right, so that's finished. Let us eject the CD. What I'll do is I'll run through the install for Word. We'll just launch it and see how quickly it launches. Because the first run you have to put the serial number and that kind of stuff in. The performance isn't terrible. It's way better than it was. So if you want to use this in a Power Mac, it doesn't have to be a G3. It can be one of these 603s or a 601 or 604 perhaps. Then yeah, by all means use it. It's a lot easier than using the traditional platter hard drives, mechanical hard drives, whatever you want to call them. The benefit is you can take this disk image off and use it in an emulator, provided that you install the correct version of macOS, obviously. Like Sheepshaver will not support anything higher than macOS 9.0.4, so this is macOS 9.1, it's not going to work on Basilisk. I could, however, create a 9.0.4 virtual Mac and copy that over to the SD card and boot it up off that, and that should work okay. But yeah, I mean, the performance, it's taking a little while. I dread to think how long Photoshop would take to open on here. There we go. So that's the first run. It's something o'clock. I hate that clock. Okay, well, it doesn't like Excel. Is it? It's flashing away. It might actually be doing something. Yep. All right, let's wait. Oh, there we go. Whoops. Okay, so that was a little bit slow. Should we try again? Why is control? Is that not working? keyboard combo is not working. Right, let's put SimCity Disk 1 in. Where do you want it to go? That's on the desktop. So I think actually just SimCity resides on the first disk. I think the second disk has the optional different levels, the different maps. Okay, so we've got SimCity on the desktop. Cool. Let's try again. There we go. Let's go cheetah. Let's put some. And let's do the road up there. And some industrial. And we'll give it some power. And then shut up. And then get to water. We need a pumping station. Or pump. We'll do that. And we need some pipes. There we go. So, perfectly fine for a SimCity machine. So, let's do 1024x768. And let's change the colour depth back to millions. There we are. Okay, shut the machine down. I think we can call that a success. So, basically, what have we learned? Well, the BlueSCSI is brilliant still. My Power Mac may be having some slight issues. Anyway, yeah, so basically, if you want to use the BlueSCSI in a machine like this, you need a molex to floppy adapter. And then that provides sufficient power so the machine will boot at a decent speed, because before that I probably yeah, just quickly then, before I wander off, let's disconnect the power and let's see how much slower it is. I also just want to make sure I am recording. I think I'm recording. Okay. Fingers crossed again, haven't wasted a whole bunch of time. Okay, so I've disconnected the additional power. And this is where it shows me up and it works absolutely fine. Okay, so what have we learned? Nothing apparently. The BlueSCSI seems to be booting about the same speed with or without the power. Which is slightly irritating because the last time I tested this, and the whole purpose of getting this cable was because the performance was so dire. It wasn't this quick before. But saying that, control strip. There we go. Saying that, I did actually create the disk image in Sheepshaver and copied it over to the SD card, and there may have been a problem with my install. This is a fresh 4 gig disk image that I just created this evening. We've booted it up off CD, we've done a fresh install of macOS 9.1, there may be a difference between 9.8.4 and 9.1, not entirely sure. I think what I will do though is, because people have recommended on Twitter specifically that you run it with the power plugged in, I think I'm going to do that anyway. But no, I think for what I wanted to use it for, I basically wanted to have the option to run additional operating systems on my machine, and what this allows me to do is have multiple SD cards with multiple different disk images on, or perhaps I could just take the SD card out, plug it into my laptop, copy off an image that's a known good image. I can then copy over a new one that I can test, and I can do all kinds of playing around. And I want to do that because I'm desperate to try Rhapsody properly. My installer for BOS wasn't fantastic. Version 4.5, or was it version 5? One of the two, the CD was having problems being read. Now the disc is fine, it's not scratched. I've used it in a PC, it's been fine. But I don't really get on with Linux, but I'd like to give it a try. I've never tried Linux on a Mac before. It just gives me the option, rather than having to rely on these clunky old hard drives, which are getting expensive, and I have to reformat and keep reinstalling the operating system all the time, which I don't really want to keep doing. I think it will be a really, really useful thing to have, especially for the LC475, because it's just, you just leave it in there and it's quiet. So yeah, that's been a godsend, to be able to copy data to and from without having to plug in Ethernet cables and zip disks and all that stuff. This was going to be a quick video. Thank you ever so much for watching if you have been, and I hope to see you again in the next one.